Well, ABC Grandstand viewers of the VFL were treated to an absolute ripper in round 20, and it was Williamstown against Port Melbourne. We knew coming into the game it was going to be a belter because it was second place on the ladder hosting first place on the ladder, and we're joined in special comments by injured Port Melbourne star Bo Nixon. And Bo, the match really lived up to its billing, didn't it?
It was a strange game, but it was a great game to watch, and we saw Williamstown get out of the blocks really well, which some of us didn't expect, and then just fight it out to the end after Port Melbourne gained ascendancy in the second and third quarters.
It really was interesting. We see here an injury to Port Melbourne's Miles Pitt, which really impacted upon them because he was taken away to hospital actually with a knee problem after that incident, which happened very early on in the match. So it meant that Port Melbourne were one down on the bench right throughout the game, and it looks as though it might be a serious injury to Miles Pitt. Our fingers are crossed for him. But what happened was, as you said, Williamstown exploded out of the blocks, and they made Port Melbourne, who had been undefeated up to this stage of the season, 15 wins on the trot, they made Port Melbourne look pretty ordinary, to be honest. I mean, it was 7 goals to just 3 in that opening quarter. They
did. They came out with some real intensity, and they just caught Port napping, it seemed like, and Miles going down was quite costly at the time, but luckily Cal Sinclair was able to stand up forward and cover that loss.
But early in the second quarter, Port Melbourne showed they were not going to be pushovers. They were able to control the intensity and control the contest. They kicked 4 goals to 1 in the second quarter to work their way back into the match. And then in the third quarter, we're seeing some action here with Nathan Batsanis involved, and Stephen Brewer was involved with that kick. That wasn't his best effort, but he was good too. But in the third quarter, Port Melbourne kicked 7 goals to just 3 for Williamstown, the inverse of the opening term, and they took control.
They did, and it was a real arm wrestle in the second quarter, which Port sort of got on top, we felt, towards the end of the second quarter, and then from that position they seemed to capitalise in the third quarter.
Port Melbourne seemed to be able to just finish around goals when they needed to. They had the classy players like Sinclair and like Chris Kane and Malcolm Lynch involved. But then in the last quarter, Williamstown never gave up. That goal from Andrew Hooper came at the 20-minute mark when they were trailing by 18 points. Port Melbourne would kick another one through Patrick Rose here to again lead by 18 points in the last quarter, and this was at the 25-minute mark. But little did we know, this game had even more twists still to come.
Yeah, it was amazing, and Peter German would be quite pleased, although disappointed with the loss, that his troops were able to fight the game out like they did. Early in the last quarter, they missed a couple of shots that they could have got and changed the outcome of the game potentially.
So Mitch Hahn kicked a goal, and then Brett Goods kicked a goal, and then Williamstown still missed 2 more shots at goal, and they just couldn't quite do enough. And in the end, Port Melbourne prevailed by just the 5 points. Williamstown led it early by 27 at quarter time, by 8 points at half time. Port Melbourne were up by 18 at the last change. But in the end, they extend their winning streak to 16. They are undefeated in season 2012. The minor premiership is sewn up now for the Borough. Congratulations to them, and Williamstown still have a fight on their hands with North Ballarat to hold on to second place on the ladder.